went down good. Went down way good. Put that there for now. I don't know how the music is coming through. Last time I tried this, it was kind of not that great, but you know, we're up for experimentation. Why are you limping? Oh, you're not limping. Okay. Oh, さっさと始めようか. In honor of the day, as I said on my social media, I think we're going to talk about Mother's Day. I had a chat with my mother. My siblings and I all got on a Facebook video chat and talked about random stuff. Not very much about me because I never have anything interesting to say. Just despite the fact that one of my coworkers literally told me the other day, Brian, you're too interesting to be single. Oh, okay. Guess I'm doing something wrong here. Anyway. So yeah, let's talk about moms. Yeah. Moms are great. As a whole, I think most of society, most of the human family considers mothers to be wonderful and amazing. I mean, if you look to some of the... You look in, like, mythology and religion and whatnot. Let's take the big one, Christianity, right? Mary, the mother of Jesus, is one of the most important figures in Catholicism, if not the most important. Depends on who you ask, you know. I mean, a lot of Catholics say Jesus, but some other Catholics feel like it's up for debate. But even still, I mean, even if you're not Catholic, if you're a Christian at all, Mary is a super important figure. I know Mary is an important figure here in my own religion, but just in all of Christendom, Mary is an important figure, sometimes even divine, like above the angels in importance. And then more recently, again, because I am a Japanese history major and I'm learning about Japanese stuff, in order to understand Japanese stuff, I gotta understand Buddhism. And in Buddhism, too, the mother of Sakyamuni Buddha is a very important figure. Again, it depends on who you ask, much like Christianity. To some people, she's more important. Yo, what up, Tweaky? How's it hanging? We're just talking about moms, because, you know, it's Mother's Day and whatnot. And hello to the other viewer we have who hopped on. Glad you could make it. If you want to be a part of the conversation, just leave a comment. I will gladly respond to most things. I mean, obviously there are some things we're not going to touch if it's like, whatever. But, you know, feel free. I love my mama, too. Do you know who else loves his mama? Buddha. Except maybe not, because you're not supposed to, Wreck-It Ralph. Except I don't know if you're supposed to have attachments like that. Although you are supposed to love everything in Buddhism, too. That's just, that's a thing. But, the mother of the Buddha, I think her name is Maya, if I remember right. She is a very important figure. There's actually an excerpt from a text I have in one of the books that I have, talking about her divine, I guess, her supernatural abilities. They say that she is actually the ordained mother of every single Buddha that has ever existed. That she gets reincarnated and becomes the mother of the Buddhas, and within her womb contains literally an innumerable number of world systems. And within her womb, it's a little weird, it's a little strange, but you know, it's whatever. No different than people claiming that you know, you eat the blood and flesh of Christ when you partake of communion. But anyway, but within her womb, she has like different universes essentially, and she has an innumerable, like an expansive space that is, it's a space that is infinite, and so that makes her super special. And so you can see that. So what if she gets pregnant? Well, she is pregnant always, but she's not pregnant. And actually, the Buddha, when he was born, he actually was not born the regular way, because the regular way is impure. So he actually was born from her side somehow, you know. Move, horse. And then there are, I don't remember how many specific instances, but there are several instances of the Buddha's life that are of particular importance. Like, for example, his birth obviously is one of them. His achieving enlightenment is another one. His teaching is another one, and his death and entering into nirvana is another. But one of them is his time is entering the womb and being within the womb. In both of those times are significant points in his life, and while he was in the womb, he was supposedly teaching other Buddhas and other like bodhisattvas and whatnot while he was in there. So again, the importance of mothers. Oh, and let's talk about a little bit closer to what I'm supposed to be studying. And hello, third person who decided to jump on. If you're feeling up for it, go ahead, leave a comment so you can be a part of this weird conversation we're having. Where was I? Buddhas. Something about the Buddha. He got born and... Oh, yeah. That's what it was. So, in Japanese mythology, and I recently checked out the Kojiki from the school library, and I haven't sat down to read it quite yet, but in there, one of the first important gods is Izanami, aka the female who invites, is what her name roughly translates to. And she is kind of the mother of the Japanese archipelago. She is the mother of a whole bunch of different gods, and she plays a very significant role in the creation myth. What might even be more interesting is the sun goddess Amaterasu, who is considered the head god of the Japanese pantheon, as we understand it now. She is also considered the progenitor of the first emperors of Japan. And I find it very interesting that they go through a female and not a male as far as their royalty goes. A lot of royalty likes to do that. They claim descent from a divine source or a semi-divine source. For the emperors of Japan, they can actually trace their lineage. The current emperor of Japan, we just got a new one actually, can trace his lineage, supposedly, all the way back to the sun goddess herself, the mother of the royal family in the imperial line. Again, I find it interesting that it's a mother of the imperial line and not a... Hey, we've got a fourth viewer. Welcome. If you feel like you want to be a part of the conversation, go ahead and leave a comment. I will respond to it. So, in mythology and in religion, it's very easy to see the importance that mothers have and have had throughout history. There was a quote, a video I was watching once upon a time. It was one of those r/something where essentially they just take a bunch of Reddit comments and they have one of these stock like computer voices just speak and narrate what's being written, what was written down. And this one veteran who came back from a big war, I think it was World War II, talked about how it was, a really harrowing experience, but specifically what it was for him was seeing the really young soldiers, the guys who oftentimes lied about their age or who were barely old enough to be in the service, watching them die in his arms. And he said every single time they always asked, "Where is my mother?" Every single one of them did. And it was always, "Where's my mother?" not "Where is my father?" So again, with the religious and the mythological and the historical instances of mothers being important, and the more recent times, I mean, without mothers, we wouldn't even be here. Everyone has to have a mother of some point, of some sort. That's what brings me to talk a little bit about myself. I love my mama. I really do. And I think I'm bad at expressing that sometimes because I'm just not a very outwardly emotional person. But my mom is freaking awesome. Let me tell you a bit about my mom. So, my mom came from a kind of a rough background. I won't go into the details, but she had it rough. I mean, lived below the poverty line for a long time. There were times in her life where, you know, even though she was a teenager in the 80s, you know, which was a very affluent time in American history. My mom didn't have electricity or running water sometimes, you know. The dad was there sometimes. She had it rough. And somehow she made it out of there. And she's doing great now. I mean, my dad is a really good guy. He's a pharmacist. Oh my goodness, we have 5 viewers. I don't know if we've ever had this many. Welcome. If any of you guys feel like leaving a comment, feel free. So yeah, my mom came from some pretty rough circumstances. And she's considered amongst her siblings as like the nice one. The one that they can always go to with their issues, and she will listen to them. She's also considered very sensible. My mom right now is, let's see, if I'm 26, she is 47, I think. Okay, let's see, my dad was born 70, my mom was born 71. So, 47, yeah, she's 47. But she just didn't have electricity because they were so poor. Like, they just didn't have money to pay the bills sometimes. Yeah, she made it out of there. She has a great family, 5 kids. Husband who works hard. She herself works hard. She's always wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. And sometimes she goes and picks up a job here and there. At least right now. And she's always wanted to be, but growing up for us, I mean, I grew up in a teeny tiny town. And, you know, my parents had 5 children. And my dad used to work at a local newspaper. And, you know, with 5 kids working at a small town local newspaper, that just ain't gonna cut it. So my parents made the really hard decision to have my dad go back to school so he could be a pharmacist, which they did. And that meant moving away. In order to do that, we had to go to Montana, which meant moving away from her family, moving away from her friends and her connections here, and going out where she had nobody. My parents had nobody. And all that time, while my dad was going to school, my dad actually didn't work because, you know, he was going to school full time. I mean, you got to focus on your studies if you want to be a pharmacist. So my mom worked. My mom worked at daycare, so essentially being mom to everybody else's kids. And she would donate plasma. Literally, this woman, for 4 years, worked in a job that ruined her back because she's always bending over and picking stuff up, and she's had to have surgery on her back, and literally selling her blood just to provide for her family. And, you know, I feel like a horrible person because at that time I was 13, 14, 15, you know, those years that are like, I'm not particularly fond of, and when you really don't think about anything other than yourself. Luckily, I didn't get into trouble. I didn't do drugs or hang out with the wrong crowd or anything. I just went to school, did my work, and then came home and played video games. But, you know, I was just one of her 5 children. And how do you deal with that and all that good stuff? And so for this woman to... And again, we were below the poverty line. Imagine 5 kids, 1 parent working at a daycare, selling plasma, so the other one could go to school. Like, that's rough. So the sacrifices my mother has made for the well-being of her family are immense and just amazing. And words don't even begin to describe how grateful I am to her. And then just some of the little idiosyncrasies about her. One of the things I absolutely love about my mom is she is hands down, I'm not even kidding here, and there is significant bias on my part, but she is the best singer I have ever heard. My mother can sing so well. And if you ask anybody who's close to her who has heard her sing, people in our church who have come up and told her, well, there's one lady specifically that said, when you sing The Angels, stop to listen. My mom has been in pageants, you know, like talent show type things, and has been asked to sing the national anthem at small town gatherings because she's just that good. And you know, when I was a little kid, I didn't really appreciate it, but I still have memories of, you know, it's sun's going down, it's time to come home. This was back in the 90s before we, you know, had cell phones. I didn't have a cell phone until I was 16. But, you know, go out on summer days, go out, hang out with friends, and ride bikes, do whatever we did back in the day. And then when the sun goes down, it's like, oh, well, I gotta go home. I come home with the sun setting, and my mom's like making dinner or something, so there's the smell of food. And what does she do while she's working? She sings. And again, as a kid, I didn't really care too much about it. But as I got older, I started to realize, I specifically remember one point when I was on my mission. There was a song, you know, a missionary had this song saved on his iPod? I can't remember. He had it saved somehow. And it's a song called His Hands. And it's a song about Jesus Christ and the miracles that his hands did, and they're gentle and blah, 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 blah. And, you know, when he gets put on the cross, you know, they get pierced. So that's the subject, is the hands of Jesus Christ. And there's this one part where the song, you know, goes, and there's one part where it starts building up, and it builds and builds and builds and builds, and there's this crescendo where the singer hits this high note, and it's just so powerful. Or at least that's what I thought. Because I remember listening to the song on my mission, listening to somebody else who wasn't my mom sing it. And I was listening to the song, and it was normal, and it was good. And then it gets to that part, and I'm getting into the build-up, right? Like, it's building up, and I'm getting into it. I'm like, yeah, let's go. And this singer's going, and she's building up, and then she hits that note, and it was kind of disappointing. I was like, really? That's it? That's all you got? Like, seriously? My mom sings Celine Dion. My mom loves to tell a story about, you know, it was like a talent show type thing at the community college she was going to. And, you know, she's a white girl. She comes out, and I can't remember what she was singing. I think it was Whitney Houston or something, you know. A black woman, you know, one of those big, you know how they can get super powerful when they sing. And she had a crowd, and in the crowd there were black people, and there were Pacific Islanders there too, and you know, they get really energetic. And so apparently when they saw that this white girl was going to attempt to sing a Whitney Houston song, they all just kind of rolled their eyes like, good luck there, little white girl. Good luck. Like, yeah, okay. Are you sure you haven't bitten off more than you can chew? Yeah, it's not going to happen. And so I have to ask my mom what song it was specifically. But she gets singing, and she starts hitting those notes. And when she starts hitting those big, powerful ones, the whole crowd just erupted. And specifically, it was the black people and the Pacific Islanders. They were the most applauding? They were the loudest with their applause. They thought it was awesome. So my mom likes to use that kind of as a, like, she's too humble to view it as a form of pride. But she thinks it's just an amusing story, and you know. So essentially what I'm saying is my mom's a freaking amazing singer. Not that that's, you know, because most moms aren't as good a singer as my mom, but you know, just that's one of the idiosyncrasies that I love about my mom. One of the specific things, and I love that. I just, you know, thinking back to those days when I was a little kid and my mom would sing, and just, I love my mom. What else can we talk about moms? I saw a thing on social media today talking about, you know, thank you to my mother on Mother's Day, and also to all my friends' moms who fed me. I can specifically think of one of my cousins. He was my best friend growing up. My cousin and my best friend. And I would always go over to his house, and, oh yeah, his mom fed me lots of food. Oh man, speaking of, let's talk about that. Because again, when I was a kid, I'd always come home and my mom would be making dinner. We always ended up having to do the dishes because, I mean, what else are you going to have kids for other than free labor? But yeah, man, my mom makes the most bomb food. Everybody thinks that about their own mom. Rightfully so. But I remember I was introduced to pumpkin cookies, right? Through my mom. The first time I ever had a pumpkin cookie. My mom made them special, and they had this glaze on them. Divine. Absolutely divine. Ever since then, I've absolutely loved pumpkin cookies. I hate, honestly, even though I'm whiter than the driven snow, I'm actually not a big fan of pumpkin flavor. What have I tried pumpkin? I'm not a fan of pumpkin pie. I mean, it's alright. I can eat it, but it just... I don't dig it. There was something else pumpkin that I had. It was like a pumpkin drink. No, it was pumpkin ice cream. That's what it was. Not a fan. Was totally not a fan. Yeah, but pumpkin cookies? Oh, yeah. I devour those like freaking swarm of locusts in ancient Egypt. Absolutely love pumpkin cookies, and I think it's because I was introduced to them through my mother's cooking. Man, now I really want some, like, actual cooking. And, you know, you get to appreciate your mom a little bit more once you're out on your own and she's not there to, like, make food for you and to comfort you and whatnot. Although, much to the chagrin of my mother, I'm not the most upfront with my feelings. How do you say it? Like, my mom, I'm sure, would actually like to hear more from me, more about the deeper workings of my psyche, my thought processes. But I don't know, man. I'm just not real good about, you know, whenever anybody greets me, say, Brian, how are you? I say, oh, you know, usual. Because that's usually how I am all the time. I'm nice, level, just chill. That's why I decided to do a chill talk, because I'm just a chill dude. Mostly, unless I'm playing a game. Then I can get pretty tilted, but... You know, and so I kind of feel bad, because here's another thing. So, my mother had a fairly normal social life, we'll say. She really enjoyed high school. I mean, she married her high school sweetheart. You know, she'd go to dances and football games, and she had friends and all of that good stuff. And, you know, like I'm sure most parents do, she had kind of a vision of what she hoped her kids would be like. Well, hoped her kids, but what she thought would be really cool if her kids would be like. And, you know, she wanted us to be like outgoing and play sports and go to dances and be all the heartthrobs of the school and whatnot. And unfortunately for her, my whole family is just is the nerd herd, as my aunt, my mother's sister, would like to say. Me, my sister, I think even the most outgoing of my brothers, we didn't like going to big social school gatherings, like dances. I remember so many times my mom would be like, or church dances especially, she really wanted us to go to that, or things like youth conferences where, you know, a bunch of church kids in the area would all get together and go do whatever for like 3 days. And she would always tell us, oh, hey, you should totally go to this dance or that meeting or whatever. You'll have so much fun. And us being nerds, we'd just look at her and be like, no. How about no? Like, can we just stay home and play games? Like, I don't want to talk to people. I just want to stay home. She's like, no, just go. You just gotta try it. You'll love it, I promise. And then we'd go, and then we'd be bored and annoyed because my whole family is generally a bunch of introverts. We would rather stay at home. Then we'd come back and we'd tell our mom, hey, yeah, I didn't have fun there. She'd be like, oh, well, you just didn't try hard enough. And like, So she'd make us go to another one. Lo and behold, the same thing would happen. And, you know, as a kid, I was more concerned with what I wanted to do, but I kind of feel bad in that regard, because she tried so hard. She tried so hard to get us to be normal, and we just said, nah, not happening, we're going to be weird. We're going to be, you know, gamers who decide that they want to start a live talk show, and hope that people will come and watch them, because... So thank you to all you guys who are watching. I mean, we're fluctuating steadily between 4 and 5 people. That's like that's amazing. Never had that before. So thank you to all of you guys who are listening to me ramble on about my mom. I was hoping that I could make this last for an entire 30 minutes. Whoa, horse. So it probably wasn't as thought-provoking this time as it was some of the other times, and I might actually end it short. So because I've also been thinking about making these a little shorter, because I do save them as videos, and then I can share them on social media and whatnot. And I don't know if people would be into the idea of watching a full 30-minute rambling some dude. I have had coworkers and friends that I know when I get talking about random things, they do find it interesting, but, you know, maybe it wouldn't hurt to shorten things a little bit. So, I think with that in mind, maybe you guys should give a little bit thought about your moms. Or if you had a mom, or if you didn't have a mom, I should say. What do you think is important? What do you think it is about mothers that make people so attached to them? I mean, there's the obvious things. Or, what kind of mother, if you're a female, if you're a woman, what kind of mother would you want to be? Or if you're a man, a father, going to be a father, like, what kind of mother would you want your wife to be? What do you look for? Like, is being a good mother a high priority for you when you're looking for, like, in a partner? You know, just things to consider and think about your own mom. Make sure that if you're like me and you're not very vocal with your emotions and your feelings toward your mom, that you do at least thank her, and if you're not very creative in expressing that, just at the very least think on it. I mean, just giving some consideration is the first step to anything, and if everybody was just a little more considerate about everything, the world would be a much better place. So with that in mind, I'm going to end it here. I'm so happy that we had more people. A little off topic, but I heard that's because of our mothers that men are obsessed with boobs. So I've heard, actually, the origins of why we like boobs, because I mean, we associate from a very young age boobs with good things. This has got a little weird. But also, I mean, for men, full breasts are a sign of a sexually mature female. So of course you're going to be attracted to that. Interesting word about the word mama, which is, you know, mother in all of the Latin languages, comes from the word, you know, it's where we get the word mammal, mammary, which means breasts or milk type giving body parts. I'm a little hazy on the etymology of that, but, you know, moms from the beginning, mothers are associated with this gonna sound so weird. But it's a thing. Moms are associated with breasts. Just say it. It's a cultural fact. Like, you know, this is what it is. Anyways, so yeah, I am gonna end it here now. Thanks so much for hopping on. Hopefully we can get these numbers up. If you guys find it interesting, make sure you share to friends and do that stuff. Things that all the other YouTubers talk about. Alright, we'll see you guys. Oh, only microphone. Oh! How do I stop this? Okay, we're good. Wait. Bye!